All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's podcast, Zero Our Thoughts. And what are we going to talk about today, Jamie?
Today we are talking about religion, which is something that I'm very excited to talk about. I don't consider myself to be that religious. I don't know about you.
I'm still questioning it
Yeah.
myself. So, yes, we'll go through what we believe or
Yeah.
what we don't believe in, and then we'll talk about religion and difference between religion and God, and we'll also talk about why young people are not as religious as their older counterparts. So, let me start with the hardest question: do you believe in God, Jamie?
Okay. If anybody asks me this, I will always tell them I'm agnostic
Okay.
because I don't want to be tied to a specific theology or any ideology. So I wouldn't call myself atheist because although there are very smart people like Richard Dawkins who can justify the scientific method really well, he doesn't truly know what the nature of this universe is, right?
Okay.
It's not like he was there at the inception of the Big Bang. So I would say there are forces that we're not aware of yet. Like, for example, electricity is a force. We weren't aware about that for thousands of years. So there must be other forces that we don't know about yet.
So you think one day we will figure out that God actually exists or he doesn't exist?
Well, we'll wait and see.
Okay. Well, I like that perspective because, yes, whenever we talk about people who believe in God and people who don't believe in God, it's hard for both of them. It's hard for you to believe in God and it's hard for you to not believe in God as well, because there are so many things you need to, provide to other people. I'll go into that a bit in a
So,
bit
so
later.
do you believe in God?
Uh, so I don't believe in religions. I believe in the philosophy behind religions. So, the scriptures and the good things that they talk about. There are different ways of interpreting the religious scriptures and using them in your life. And yeah, it depends. It's a very personal choice that people make.
Yeah.
When it comes to like a higher power looking down upon us, I don't think I believe on that as much as I used to, is what I would say. The reason is God is omnipotent. If God is omnipotent, why can't he make everyone believe in him? Why do people have to suffer
Yeah.
to believe in him or not believing in him?
Well,
Because people have been persecuted for a very long time for those reasons.
this reminds me of the debate, which is that he's either all-knowing or he's all-powerful. He can't be both.
Okay.
So I don't remember exactly how that logic goes, but if there were a God, I would believe him to be all-powerful, but I wouldn't think he's all-knowing. I think there would be lots of stuff he doesn't understand.
Well, I think that's a clever way of choosing to be either or. Because if
Mm.
you're all knowing, you're already all powerful. If you know everything, you are powerful. You can change things. You can
Yeah, but you
make
could,
things.
you,
But
you
if
for example, could know everything, but
Yeah.
you can't just tell the president of China to change a law.
But if I know everything, I can tell him the consequences
He's not
that
going
he
to
will
listen to
have
you.
if he does. Well, if I can prove to him that I'm all knowing, and if he agrees that I'm all knowing, then yeah, I don't need
But
to work
sadly,
that hard.
that's not how it works, is it? But
Yes,
sadly, you
yes.
can't just tell someone
Yeah.
you know everything, you know.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the one. So, do you believe that religion is the optimal way to expand the theory of existence of God?
I don't quite know what you mean by that. Can you break it down a bit?
So, basically, religion, we believe in God through religion. So, people who claim, oh, yeah, I don't believe in any religion, but I'm spiritual. And if you go and ask them, okay, like, in which culture did you grow up? They might say Christianity or Hinduism or Islam. And they are being informed about the God through the religion. They don't know God without religion. So for you, God comes because from Jesus Christ. He doesn't come by himself. So do you
Right.
think that the Jesus Christ, the manifestations like Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
and the group of organization that comes after them, which is basically a religion,
Yeah.
do you think that's the best way to expand the theory of existence of God?
I don't. For me personally, I don't think the communal sense of religion is a good thing to preach. But I like the sense of community that it brings, like the services, the church service, the what do they have in Judaism? The Sabbath, right? On
Yep.
Saturday. So Saturdays they don't work, they reflect, they spend time with their family, they have a big meal. Like every religion has this aspect of community. I think that's really good. But when it comes to like, I don't want to say doctrine, but like things that they preach, I think that's a real personal choice.
So if you have lived in a village where everyone is close knit, but no one believed in religion, no one followed one religion, or no one believed in any religion at all. So then, for you, there is no need of religion. because the community, like, for example, you said going to church, doing
Yeah.
that weekly weekend thing that people do, be around with the family, reflect on things. If we have been doing that in a village, people do that. They come together, they go to a pub where everyone meets, they talk about football, or they talk about how their crops are failing or going good. So if we had lived in that kind of environment when you were young, or if you have been living in that environment right now, you would not need to have belief in God then.
Well, talking about this has reminded me of the fact that the laws in this country and in America are loosely based on the Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
So a lot of scripture has been turned into contemporary literature or contemporary like laws. So we need this stuff because it's useful for us to sustain our life.
Well, I found that quite interesting, because I was talking with my friends back in Nepal as well. I literally asked them, do you believe in God, or do you believe in going to temple, praying to God and all that? And what they said was basically, well, I don't necessarily believe in that there is a higher power that controls me, but I believe in the things that we do. I believe in the rituals because it makes me come close with the community. It makes me feel good, is what they said basically. Like going to a temple, bowing down in front of an idol, idol that is made out of a rock. Apparently it makes them feel as if they are quite connected to something that they can't explain, but they don't want to call it God. I mean, I wouldn't mind if they called it God, because they are literally explaining that without using the word God. But yeah, that's what they were saying. But like, for me, religion is a human construct. It was constructed by humans, because when Jesus Christ came to this world, he didn't say, okay, everyone who follows me is Christians from now. He didn't say that.
Yeah.
Well, if he existed, that is. And everyone who follows Ram, or who follows who are monotheist in Hindu religion, or polytheist in Hindu religion, they don't specifically believe in God, believe in the religion, because the God said, okay, everyone who believes me will be called Hindus after this. So God did not come with the name of religion. And now then comes to the scriptures. It's like, how are religion different? It's because of the scriptures. People believe in a Bible or Quran or Torah or all those kind of books that we have, but those books were written by humans, and they were translated by humans.
True. So there's a human archetype that underpins all stories, and in a sense you can say that every god is the same, because they're all trying to explain humanity, basically.
Yes, like if someone believes in God, if you believe in God, if you believe in religion, it doesn't matter through whom you are believing, from Jesus or Muhammad or Prophet Muhammad or any other gods. You need to believe in one true God. You can't say people who agree with Jesus Christ, who believe in Bible, will go to heaven, but people who believe in Quran will not go to heaven. You can't say that. Because if Prophet Muhammad is son of God, and if Jesus Christ is son of God, and if both of them are manifestation and come through same source, they will provide you similar knowledge about how to live your life, basically.
Yeah.
And if you believe on that, you can't say, oh yeah, you are not following Bible, so you will go to hell. You can't say that.
This is the confusing thing about the Abrahamic religions. So the Muslims, the Christians and the Jews, they all technically believe in the same characters, but their stories are different. So this is sort of why the Crusades happened. And I think this is also why we have so much conflict between the West and the Middle East. That could be a talking point, couldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, basically, one of my friend, he was saying, in Nepal, you can be Christian, you can convert to Christianity, and you get 10,000 Nepali rupees, which is around £90. You can do that, and many people did that because for the money, not because of the religion.
Right.
And when they were reading books, one of my friend, he did not become Christian because of that. He became Christian because his grandfather was a Christian, and so he became Christian because of that, not because he was reading the book and he believed in the book.
Because of family.
Yes. So he brought Bible to my place one day, and we were reading it, and there was a line who said, okay, if your eyes does a sin, you gouge out your eyes, like take your eyes out. It's something like that. Along that line were written, and I asked him, so do you literally believe that, or it is like figurative? Like, like if your eye is doing sin, then close your eyes and don't do the sin, or is it like you literally have to take your eye out? And it's like, oh, it's literally taking your eye out. I'm like, okay. So like, but I would not believe that. For me, my eyes are very precious.
Yeah.
So I would be of the opinion that I take it in not literal value, but in the in idealistic way.
Yeah, I think this is very unique to the Old Testament. So the older Christians, the Catholics, they believe that humans are all sinful, and that they need to prove themselves not sinful.
So you are born with sins, is what
Yeah,
they say.
basically.
Well, it makes them easy to explain why a 2-month-old deserves to have cancer or something. So it makes them easier to for them to explain that.
I
But
suppose.
how come someone is born with sin? Like, how can you say that? How can a poor soul who didn't even, like, it was not their choice to agree. It
Yeah.
was action of 2 other people because of whom that person exists
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And how come like you're born with sin? How does that work?
We're not going to get too deep into this because Ushua gets upset when religion has its it has greatness to it. It has power, which means it can either be the best thing in the world, but at the same time it can also corrupt, and it can also be the worst thing in the world. Like what, for example, Christians might be happy with a certain way of their community expressing themselves, but would Jesus be happy of that way that they're expressing themselves? Maybe not. So you have to sort of stick true to the origins of what you're doing, but the group, over time they end up making their own pathway. And I think that's what might enrage you, is that they don't stick to their goodness, really.
Yeah, there is no one coherence, basically. There are different things. It's like there are many sects within a religion. There is Sunnis and Shias and Sunnis. There are Protestant and Catholics, and there are monotheists in Hindu religion and polytheists who believe in like different incarnation of God within Hinduism, and there are some who only believe in one incarnation of Hinduism. Like for some people, Krishna was the God.
Shaivism, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So for one of them, it's basically Krishna is the God.
Yeah.
He's the manifestation for Hindu religion. But for others, it's like Krishna, and there is Ram, and there is all other people. But so that is what makes Hinduism different in Nepal and India as well. In India, you see most of the monotheists within Hindu religion. There are polytheists as well, but you see mostly monotheists. It's like some people they worship what's his name with the trunk? I forgot the name. The elephant god, the god with elephant head. Anyway, some of them they believe Krishna is the main manifest. Ganesh, yes.
Yeah,
so some people believe in Ganesh, some people believe in Shiva, some people believe in Krishna, some people believe in Ram. But in Nepal, it's mostly 3 that they believe in. That is Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar. Yeah, Trimurti.
Yeah.
Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar. So Brahma is the creator, Vishnu is the protector, and
Shiva.
Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar. Maheshwar is the Shiva, is the destroyer.
Yeah.
So basically, well, he's not like destroyer. He's like he destroys the negativity, or like he destroys the demons and all those kind of things.
It's fascinating. I do recommend anyone, doesn't matter where you're from, research Hinduism because it's fascinating.
Well, but you might see that Hinduism is a bit open to interpretations, and it's open to different ideas coming within the religion. But if you can change your faith because of someone else's idea, then it's no longer your faith. It's no longer the faith that you believed in, which is the message of the God. So that's the problem that I have.
But you're trying to follow God, but other people's ideas you might end up following.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like there is a religion called Baha'i. Baha'i. So there are a few things that I like about Baha'i religion. One of them is universal investigation of the truth. So you can't just be Baha'i. Well, I mean, you can declare yourself a Baha'i and be a Baha'i, but the idea is you need to independently investigate the truth behind the religion, and read the scriptures and all that, and then become Baha'i, rather than just proclaiming yourself to be a Baha'i. That's one good thing. And the other thing is like they don't believe to have a priest or a father or a mullah in like a church or a temple. So like a temple is open to every religion. If you go to a temple, there is one in India called Lotus Temple, and for Europe there is one in Frankfurt, and for South America there is one, and for North America, like they are all in continent, and they are like country temple as well. So those temples, they have 9 doors, and those 9 doors signify 9 main manifestations of the God. So basically 9 doors, so different religion can come together.
Wow.
So and the reason that they don't believe in pastors, the fathers and mullahs and all those is like when a person reads a Bible and becomes a father in a church, they preach the Bible according to their interpretation. So they might be...
Well, Protestants would.
Maybe I mean, you can't say Catholics wouldn't do that as well. It's like in our country, this happened in our village. It's like there was a church, and a guy he went up the rank and became a father as well. There was already a father, and because they too they were kind of going against each other. The one father says that, okay, I'm gonna make my own church. He made his own church, and he said to people who go to his church that you are not allowed to go to another church. And I'm like, how does that work? You're believing in same God and you can't live under the same God. This is where the
conflict starts, isn't it?
Exactly. So yeah, that's my whole point. So what I'm trying to say here is I've written down it in my paper, and I'm going to read it. I said, if anyone who believes in Christianity and believes in God and Jesus as a son of God, they must also believe in God and the messenger that Hindus believe. They must also accept that the Hindus will go to the same heaven as the Christians without Hindus having to accept Christianity. Either both of their God exist or both of them doesn't exist. And for those who believe that there are actions which can be described as sins, how come one manifestation describes them as different action than the others? If all the sins come from one true God, then there must be a coherent selection of actions that are sins. For example, stepping on a book is sin in Hindu tradition, but stepping on a book is not in Christianity. Drinking is sin in Islam or haram, but Jesus converted water into wine. Eating pork is haram, but more than half of the meat consumption in East Asia consists of pork. But they also believe in God. So how come there is this unbalance and differences in the religions if they come from one true God? So that is one of the reasons that I don't think that there is one person that is handling the whole thing. There's one, like when we look up, when you're supposed to look up and
say.
So
you don't believe it's one person because it's a big mess?
Well, I don't believe there is 2 person or 3 person as well.
But I don't think it's a person. I think it could be like this is why I say I'm agnostic, because it could be a force, like a force of nature. So
you're a naturalist then? So, back in the days, our forefathers, hunter-gatherers, I like the idea of worshipping sun because you get energy, heat from sun. Yeah, and you also get energy that provides life to so many plants and animals in the earth. Yeah. Because of the sun, the wind moves around. And because of the wind, you're cool. Yeah, your body is cool. I'm not saying you're cool.
I'm cool.
And you worship, and you respect a river or worship river because it provides you with water and food. And
this is sort of like a Buddhist
yes,
point
and
of view,
you worship trees because of the same reasons.
Yeah.
So that's why someone who would believe in those things, I would agree with them. I would agree the kind of God they believe in is the nature because it provides life. Yeah. And now someone
but
might
it's also unpredictable. And you could argue that God and nature are both unpredictable. Yeah,
but exactly. So who created God then? There must have been someone who created them as well, though.
Well, the thing is, I believe. All right, it's difficult to define what I believe because I call myself agnostic. But it's like a force, an entity, but not a person or not a creator.
Okay, so it's a power that exists somewhere.
Yeah, and it's a bit like what I interpret.
So you would not go in hell if you don't believe in that power. Because hell doesn't exist in that sense.
For the most part, I would say I don't believe in a god or gods. I think they're a wonderful philosophy, and there's lots of different deities that you can learn from, and it's wonderful that people follow what they believe to be right. But for me, I don't follow a god, and if there were a god, I don't think they would be like me or you. I don't think there would be like a big man in the sky.
They wouldn't be in a human form.
They wouldn't be a big man, yeah.
Okay, big man.
Yeah, so that's why I think. I think if it is one and you think this is messy, it doesn't make sense. It's like, well, maybe they don't think like you think, you know?
Okay. Yeah. So basically they are uncomprehendable. Like we can't comprehend how they are.
Yes, they have this term in Hinduism, I believe.
What?
Oh, I forget what it's called.
Well, I'm not really aware.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm
I'll have to come
if
back
I don't remember.
Maybe I'll post it in the description.
No,
of the video.
I like the idea of how Alan Watts describes about Jesus Christ, Prophet Muhammad, and all those. He says basically some people have this weird, this divine. Some people feel as if they have this divine intervention in them, like their life changes like in a snap, and they can't explain it. And if you are born in a Christian family, or if you're born in Christian culture, you would say, "Oh, I'm the coming of the Christ." If you're born in Hindu religion, you would say, "Oh, I'm the coming of the Krishna," because that's the only true you know. That's the only God you know. Because you have not stepped outside and learned that, oh, there are other religions, and their way of interpretation of the message of God is different. So you side with one. Yeah. And they become like the Jesus of Nazareth. Like, you know, and people will say, "Oh, no, I don't believe in you," because then you go and say them, "Oh, yeah, no, people didn't believe in Jesus as well." So you claim as if you're one of them.
So it's like a moral superior stance.
I think
really.
you become arrogant after you have a bit of knowledge about the God and religion.
But I think that happens without religion too. And
Yes,
and
so that's why it's a human nature. Arrogance is a human nature.
Any dogma, actually. There was this guy. I was watching this YouTube this morning of this guy. He was talking about how Stalin and Hitler they weren't devout religious people, and he was saying therefore humans go crazy without religion. And I thought to myself, but humans go crazy with religion too.
Exactly.
Humans go crazy regardless.
Exactly.
My impression is that humans need each other, and we should be tolerant and overlook, what book your neighbour reads. Just because my neighbour reads this book doesn't mean that they're any less or more human than I am.
Exactly. And if you believe in your book, you also need to believe in your neighbor's book, because the book came from same supposed messenger, not messenger, but the child of a messenger.
I don't think you have to believe in their book, but you should believe in the humanity that your book teaches them. If your book is
So if your book says love your neighbor, you need to love your neighbor regardless of who they are.
Well, I'm hoping, maybe I'm too optimistic, I'm hoping that most of these books do preach loving your neighbor.
Well, they do. Like, if you look at the good aspects of... I'm not saying there are good and bad aspects in religion. It's up to the person who interprets them. But if you look at the religion, the teaching is similar across all the religion. Love your neighbor is same. Every religion says love your neighbor. Every religion says do not steal, do not lie and all that. Every religion says that. So if you believe in religion because you want to make your life nice, well, I mean, it's your choice. You can do that. But I don't think believing in religion will in itself make your life better. Because if you are believing in religion, you are, and if you believe in one specific religion, and if you are not open to the others, you are being dogmatic after that. You are being narrow-minded.
That's how cults can form as well.
Yes.
Things. Yeah.
So that's why it's at this day and age, it's easy to be theist and it's easy to be atheist. I'm going to expand on that.
Building on that, what I see in the West especially is that there's a big backlash against people who are theist.
Okay.
And because atheism can be explained by science, people don't have the time or empathy to try to understand religious people. So that's something I want to break down as well.
Well, understanding religious people or understanding the religion of the religious people?
Either. Just taking time to listen to their point of view.
I can understand a religious person. I can understand where he or she is coming from.
Yeah.
But understanding the religion itself and understanding why their religion is superior than the others, I'm not going to do that, because it already necessitates that I should be biased. Because if I'm believing in one religion and I need to believe that they're superior than the others, why? I'm not going to do that.
I'm saying if they're going to preach, just you don't have to listen, just sit there and nod your head.
Yes, I mean that's what we all do.
But if they're not preaching, actually think about what are they trying to tell me? Because most of the time they're just normal people. But in Europe, I don't know why people have this attitude that they don't need to listen to any religious person, and they're not going to take the time to ask them, why do you wear this hat? Why do you wear this jewellery? Why have you got a cross on you? Because they don't want to be seen as intruding or offensive, but actually it's not intruding and it's not offensive because you're building your community, really.
Yeah, you are having conversations with people, which is very rare these days.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with that. I agree with being I wouldn't agree with being in one group and then associating with whatever the group associates with. I wouldn't agree with that. But I would agree with you having sitting down with that group and listening to what they have to say, and you make your own judgment. I agree with that. And people say, basically people say, oh, you have free will, you can do that, you can do whatever the hell you want with that, and you can listen to people or you cannot listen to people, you can be religious or you cannot be religious. And I'm like, okay, you are not when I became religious, it was not because of my free will. And it's the same case with many people around the world. People are religious because their parents were religious.
Wow.
And they learn about religion from their parents. So if their parents are dogmatic and if they are not open-minded, it will be hard for the kid to learn how to not be open-minded, how to not be close-minded, and learn how to be open-minded, how to accept all the religion. Because what they have been taught is oh, you are Christian or you are Hindu, you are Muslim. If you read another scripture, you might go to hell. If you read and agree with another scripture, you might go to hell. If you are preaching that kind of thing, how do you expect them to go out of their comfort zone?
My question is it so easy to just break the cycle and say, I'm not this religion? Because, for example, the laws in this country are still loosely based on Christian values. So we live in, and also Christian festivals. So even though my parents aren't Christian, maybe not even their parents were Christian, but we still have the Christian values. Do you know what I mean? It's not something you can shake off sometimes. I think.
I mean, yeah, okay. Even if it's difficult for you to say kaf, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be blindly believing behind it. And I know
True.
you're not doing that. I'm
Yeah,
not claiming.
true.
I'm not saying every Christian is
Yeah,
like that, or every
but
Hindu
that
or
does
every
happen.
Muslim is like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you need to be open eyes. It's like if you believe in your God, if you believe in your messenger of God, why can't you even try to understand the other ones? And that's the problem I have with religions. It's like one says the other is false. It's like how come you're right and they are wrong?
It's just
It doesn't make sense.
pride. I think
Yeah.
it's just pride,
Like
isn't it?
the whole belief system doesn't make sense when you look at it objectively, and when you go into details, and that doesn't make sense. And that's the reason why, yeah, I'm questioning the validity of if God exists or not. Maybe he does, maybe she does, but I'm not really
but
sure.
how do we carry that opinion without alienating the people who are religious,
Well,
so that they don't go to create these sects and these cults? And I'm not just talking about a specific region of the world. Anywhere in the world, these cults can develop. So how do we make sure they don't stray too far from the community, the global community, and do these like violent things?
Well, in Baha'i religion, what they do is like when they are translating the book, they're very, very, very strict about how the books are being translated into different language. They want to make sure that all the books are conveying the same message, whatever the message is.
Yeah.
So that might be a way, and not having a father or the priest. It sounds good. Like if I was in a religious group, if I were to go to a temple, I mean, in Hinduism, it's like, okay, not everyone can learn Sanskrit to pray. If you're praying in Sanskrit, so you need someone to utter the slokas when you're in the temple, utter the mantras and all those things in the temple. Well, I mean, if it is that difficult, and the thing is, you don't even know what they're saying when they're in there, because you don't understand it, you don't know it.
Yeah.
So maybe changing into another language that is more understandable is not so bad thing, because it's just a language that we came up with. And yeah, that can be same with other religions. Like do the independent investigation. Doesn't matter if you believe in the religion or not. Just do the investigation. Come up with your truth. Your truth might not be the ultimate truth, but at least you are in the right way to finding the real truth. Because if you have found one thing, you might be able to look for another thing as well.
This is exactly what happened with the Anglican Church and the Presbyterian Church in Scotland. For quite a few hundred years, they would read the text in Latin, and the preacher would tell them what it means. But then once they had that translated into Scottish and into English, that's when they started straying away from the Catholic Church.
Okay.
Because they actually understood the information for themselves, and they realised they didn't need someone to dumb it down for them, in a sense.
Yeah, in a Latin language that you can't even understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But the whole thing of believing in a book that was written by someone, and you are so strict with it that you would kill other people for saying, okay, I mean, maybe you were a bit wrong in that. Yeah, that is what puts me off as well. It's like, and there's this movie called PK in India. So it's P and K. And it's like an alien comes to Earth, and he is trying to, like, he has this like orb, that looks like a in you call it mala. So it's like a garland or something that you put on your thing. And so it's his remote controller that tracks his ship. And a guy sees that, and he's naked as well, and he can't speak because he doesn't know the language. He can speak by holding someone's hand. He can like basically
telepathic.
Basically transfer all the messages from the hand, like USB-C cable. So basically what happens to him is like a guy takes that orb thing, and he goes to preach his people who is following him. He says, oh, I was doing meditation under under this mountain, Mansarovar. Like, it's like a mountain of Lord Shiva, where Shiva's house was supposed to be. And so I was on the snow, I was meditating, and the Lord Shiva came and gave this to me and say, okay, go to other people and preach this. So he says that, and he wants to find it. Very, very, like, he really, really wants to find the alien. Yeah. And what he does is, like, he goes to, so basically, because he can't speak, he quickly figures out that he needs to wear clothes. And
it's
he's
like Adam and Eve story.
So he's basically...
dress.
He's basically like wearing like women clothes at the bottom and men clothes in the top, and like doing all the sorts of thing. But then he finally figures it out, and he meets a guy who puts him in a brothel. Sorry about mentioning brothel in religious.
This is an interesting movie.
Yeah, and in that, like, basically he holds the lady's hands and like transfer all the things, and he starts speaking like her with her dialect and her accent and all that thing.
What, in the woman's voice?
Yeah. And so he says, okay, well, he goes to people and says, oh, I've lost this, where I can find this? And I say, oh, go to a temple, you might have it there. So he goes to the temple, goes to the priest, and he says, okay, I have lost this, how can I find it? Okay, bring these things in order to worship the god, and he might give it to you. He does that, doesn't work. And then he goes to another party and says, okay, go to the mosque, they might have the answer. He goes to the mosque, they say no, and he brings like stuff that you need to take in order to go to the mosque, and he does it in that way, he doesn't find it. Goes to a church, same thing, doesn't find it. While he going to the church, he accidentally, unknowingly takes the Hindu things like a coconut and goes there, because in Hindu temple you you smash the coconut on the like foot of
So
the temple and all
the
that.
wrong thing.
Yeah, and he does that in the church, and everyone kicks him out,
Wow.
and he is sad and all that, and he finds a woman, and he's trying to explain to her what he's doing, all those things, and at the end, like, he basically finds the orb, sees the orb in that place where the guy is preaching, that remote, and he says, oh, that's my thing, it's not what he's claiming, it's my remote. And the girl believes in him, but no one else believe in him. And he makes his thing, okay, I can create God out of anywhere. And he says, okay. He basically goes to a place where the exam was being conducted. He puts a statue in there, puts like a red stuff, like, red tika or something in there, and puts a bit of money. Everyone starts coming and praying to him, praying to that idol in there, and put money down there. And like all sorts of things happen. And in that movie, the one very nice thing he says is like, you live in this small planet in this big universe. And you are like a small human being, a small creature, and you think that someone who created this universe, you can protect them by fighting for him. Like, people fight with each other in the name of religion. It's you are such a small, tiny thing, and like you are a speck. Like, you are not even a speck of sand in terms of like the universe, and you think you are powerful enough to protect that who created you, and that was very reflective. It's like,
wow.
What makes you believe that if you don't make other people believe in your God, that your God will be no more the God he was or he is?
It's difficult.
It is difficult to be a theist or atheist. So I'm going to read out the reasons why I think it's difficult to be atheist and theist, and you can expand on it.
Okay.
So a stereotypical atheist is supposed to have lack of morality, being cynical or pessimistic, being intellect while also being morally intellectually arrogant, being rebellious, and being extroverted, and also being extrovertedly able to provide reasons for everything that happens around them. Of course, they can't say they don't have answer to certain phenomena, as believers will immediately start saying, see, you can't prove that, so the God must have created it. But just because there are certain things that can't be answered by science doesn't mean that they are supposedly being reasoned by saying, oh, there is God who created it. Few years ago, we couldn't answer why certain planets behave in the way they do, but now we can answer those questions. So human knowledge is not limited; it's expanding, and it will someday answer many of the questions we have now. And that might be that God exists or doesn't exist.
Yeah, but okay, this is a kind of maybe it makes no sense what I'm going to say. What if God represents the things we don't know? So therefore, there is a God, but they are inside that domain of things we will never know.
So what's the point of discussing about it? What's the point of following something that we would never know?
He's ambiguous. Like, for example, if someone says, where's your coat? And I lost my coat, I'll say, God knows. Because
it's the figure of his speech.
I don't know. But I don't know where it is. God knows where it is, because it's something that's not in this universe.
Okay.
It's not knowable to anybody in this universe.
When you say God knows, are you saying it literally, or do you mean it in like
it's more of a metaphor.
Way?
It's more of a metaphor saying I don't know, you don't know.
Yeah. So God knows. But you believe someone who knows.
God knows, basically. Okay. So I don't know, you don't know. People say God knows.
Okay. So it's a figure of speech. But yeah, okay.
But I think it's
I understand.
I think it's a useful figure of speech.
Well, I mean, yeah, no one can prove if God exists or doesn't exist. To be very fair, you can't prove God doesn't exist because you don't have enough proofs for it. You cannot prove God exists because you don't have enough proof for it.
Yeah.
But just the fact that we're able to reason for why he might or she might exist or not, it gives me like if we are this able to reason for it, I think we would have already found the answer by now. Or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, now we'll go into why it is difficult to be theists.
Theist. See, I think your thing overlooks stuff when you talk about the difficulties of being theist.
All right, please enlighten me.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll hear yours first.
Similarly, it is also difficult for someone to be a theist or someone who believes in God. You are supposed to have blind faith, have dogmatic adherence to a certain doctrines, be anti-science, hence being, like some people called, stupid. And they're also expected to be conservative and naive, seen as someone who uncritically accepts the religious stories and miracles. So that's how you are expected to be if you believe in God. I'm not saying this. I wrote it after I did some research, like what people perceive to people who believe in God. Especially these days, and it is specifically by younger people, like people like you and me. Like when we meet someone who believe in God, we say, oh yeah, you must be a bit conservative and something like that. That's the stereotypical things.
It's stereotypical, which I think is a real disappointment, because in Europe, the Enlightenment period was the development of science along with the continuation of religion. Once the industrial period happened, they rejected the idea of religion, but there was a brief period where they had religion and science cooperating. People like Isaac Newton, also I think maybe Charles Darwin, these people were very enthusiastic experimentalists, but when it came to their limitations of what they know, understanding themselves, understanding their families, they would pray to God. So they could live in both worlds at the same time, and I'm thinking, why can't we do that? Like, why can't there be theism, but also, the modern world?
So what you're trying to say is, like, why can't we believe in God and still live the life we can live? Well, so but would you believe in God through religion or without religion?
Well, it's up to you, isn't it?
No, because if you believe in God through religion, you need to adhere with everything that religion says. Well, I mean, you are expected to, and everything that certain religion says, they are not like the way you can live your life.
Well.
And what kind of book do you read? Do you read the one which was translated like few years ago or 100 years ago, or by a Roman Catholic Church, or by I don't know, like someone in Poland or someone in Romania? Who do you read?
Yeah.
Where do you get your information from?
It's difficult. That's the thing
and
is.
How do you find the exact source if you are trying to believe in God through one religion? Okay, let's imagine I want to believe in God.
Yeah.
I want to believe in Prophet Muhammad, let's say. What do I read? Whose translation do I read to get the exact information? Because some people would not agree with the translation that I have.
I understand. Yeah.
And talking about people like influencers these days who say, oh yeah, now I read Quran and I'm, oh my God, it changed my life, and I'm like, bullshit. It's like,
why?
You can't change your life by reading a book in a day or two.
Well, that's your opinion.
Well, can you change your life by reading a book in a day or two? Can like different things be revealed to you?
Definitely.
So yesterday you had completely different set of beliefs. You read a book today, and tomorrow you have completely different set of beliefs.
It depends on when that book met me.
No, but does it happen in a day or something like that, though? Is what I'm saying. Because you can change your
instantly.
life by reading a book. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
You can gain new knowledge.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, would you completely, forget what you believed previously, and now you have different new sets of beliefs?
Only if it was, what's the word? Revelationary. Only if it was like, what do you call it? An awakening.
Oh, okay, so the divine awakening.
Yeah,
so you are the new coming of the Christ.
Only if it's an awakening. However, an awakening is very dangerous, because you can get an awakening for any set of belief systems.
Yeah, like Alan Watts said. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not saying that you cannot change your life by reading a book or something. But I don't agree with people who say, oh, yesterday I had completely different set of beliefs, and from today I have completely different set of beliefs.
I think it depends who it's coming from. Really.
Okay. I mean, okay. Yeah, I know you. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Like you are different.
If it was someone that said it, like one of my mates at the pub, I'd be like, "You're exactly the same person I met."
But
yesterday.
you were judging a mate, though. He might have real divinity. Who knows?
True.
He can't prove the divinity, though. That's the problem.
Well, if he turns
up
there with a bald head and he's got beads around his neck, I might contemplate his seriousness about his decisions.
Oh, so if he doesn't do that, he might be serious?
No, it's just.
Sorry, I'm putting
anyway,
you in a spot like
regardless, it doesn't actually matter if I believe him or not, because I have to live with their other people's religious beliefs that I don't agree with anyway. So, in the end, does it really matter if I understand them or not? Shouldn't the only value be tolerance, right? Tolerance and acceptance, loving your neighbour, which is it's unfortunate because that is a Christian phrase, love your neighbour.
No, I mean it's an English phrase, love your neighbor.
Right.
It's not a Christian phrase.
I think they say it. Lots
Well,
of
I mean, it comes from
yeah.
religion, but it's an English phrase, isn't it? Love is English word. Yo
Yeah.
is an English word. Neighbor
it's
is
what,
English
it's what
word.
English Christians
Exactly.
would say.
So you can believe. I'm not saying you cannot completely believe in any of the things that is being preached in the religion. You can completely believe on the things that they have. It's one of they are philosophies if you look them objectively, and if you want to live your life according to certain philosophy, why not live according to them? You can do that. You don't have to necessarily follow each and everything that is said in the scripture, but you can make your life, if you feel like your life will be better by following your like living your life by reading a book and following the things that are said in the book in a certain way. I'm up for it.
Yeah.
And I would recommend people to do it as well. It's not a bad thing. It's like I found this term, universal investigation of the truth. I know it's an English term, but I found it because of a religion. And like you said, like, love your neighbor. I found it because of a religion. And that phrase had changed lots of things in me. Like, I mean, I try to objectively and critically look at things as much as I can. Sometimes I become cynical because of this as well. But, I mean, I feel like if I had not learned that, I would not be doing independent investigation of the truth.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
That's wise. That's wise.
I mean, thank you. but yes, it's not. It's like someone can be Aristotelist, like read the books written by Aristotle and follow him. Someone can do same with Plato. Someone can do same with Nietzsche. Someone can do same with Bertrand Russell.
Yeah.
I'm not against it. I like all of those people, to be honest. But like apart from a few of them,
Nietzsche.
Nietzsche is a good. I mean. Okay, when you talk about the Ubermans,
The hesitation.
no, it's like it's very hard to read Nietzsche. First thing, second thing, the Ubermans thing, the whole thing behind it, and the thing that happened after it is yes. I don't know what to say.
I like
but
Beyond Good and Evil.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that the book where he says we killed God?
Yeah.
Maybe that
But
is
he
true.
also says we invented it and killed it, right?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's what when I said religion is a human creation, that is kind of the thing that I'm trying to say. I'm not like copying it from Nietzsche or something. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to do that. But what I'm trying to say is it is a collective philosophy. Religion is not like from so Nietzsche has one philosophy, that is his philosophy. Plato has one philosophy, that is his philosophy. Socrates has one philosophy, that is his philosophy. They might have some, inspirations from the others, but deep down it is their philosophy.
Yeah.
Whereas religion is collective philosophy. It's the philosophy of a group of people that try to believe in similar things, that try to
There's
live their
no
life
one
according
author,
to a way.
right?
No, there is no one author. So when someone says, "Oh, I completely blindly believe in this because this is the ultimate truth," it's not ultimate truth. It was written by people, a group of people who might not know all the truths that are out there.
But the truth is that everyone that wrote it was a human.
That's why it's a human creation.
So you could say the truth is humanity.
Yes, I mean, it comes from humanity, and people say, "Oh, there is racism in the scriptures and all that." Well, it's because of the people at the time who wrote it.
You could say
like that.
You could say religious scriptures are just.
I'm defending religion.
No.
now.
You could say religious scriptures are just like a blueprint of the human, because they have war, they have love, they have every aspect of humanity in this book, and it was written by multiple authors. So you can say it's the truth because it was made for humans by humans.
Yeah,
So in some sense, it is a truth.
But it's not the ultimate truth, though. It doesn't have everything that.
I don't think it does what it says it does, which is ultimate, like kindness, like transparency, whatever those God qualities are.
Well, I mean, it's like saying, "Oh, if you do in certain scriptures, it says if you do adultery, you were supposed to, you're like 100 lashes on you." I mean, adultery is not a good thing, but 100 lashes, come on.
That reminds
Like
me.
you will kill a person.
Speaking of lashes, that reminds me of something called flagellation.
Okay.
So in the 1400s,
flagellation?
in
Okay.
Europe, nearly half of all people died because of the Black Death, and they were just dying of this disease. They had no idea what happened. We know it happened because of fleas had a certain bacteria, and they were latching onto rats. People were living in unhygienic conditions. Everyone assumed it was God. So people would pray to God all the time, and there were these people called the flagellants. I believe that's what they're called, and they would just whip themselves in public, saying, "I'm so sorry, God, stop killing us." It just shows you the power of God in a society that has no conception of science.
Power of belief.
Power of belief.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have seen that is also shown in that movie that I talked about earlier.
Oh, okay.
Like in the Muslim tradition, I think there is like they do the same lasses kind of
Yeah.
thing with these like things that are made up of like metal or something, and
Mm.
it's horrible to look at.
Mm.
And but the reason I'm against it is like if God created you, if He loves you, why would He expect you to do that? Like literally try to kill yourself in order to for you to be sin free. Why can't He just forgive you?
Mm.
I think if you believe in God, you also need to believe that He will forgive whatever the hell you do because He created you and He loves you.
Yeah.
But that, I don't think that can work. Like, how can you forgive some horrible people?
Mm.
Like, how can you forgive
Yeah,
people who
true.
commit crime and all that?
True.
And at the same time, if someone is born with sins because in their past life they did something wrong, like why in this life though? Why don't you give me second chance?
Mm. Yeah.
Why do I have to be like why am I the product of sins that someone else did?
Reincarnation you're
even know.
talking about.
It's like when like a 4-month-old kid has cancer and they say,
Yeah.
oh, it must be parents who did something wrong. So why
Mm.
does the child has deserve to have cancer though?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's where reincarnation comes from, right?
And-
They say, oh, they're in their past life they were a bad person, so they've come back as someone who's ill.
No, but like why don't you give the second chance? I don't even know who I was in the past life. I'm not what's his name, Howard Lawrence or Lawrence Howard,
Mm.
who knows what happens in the past life or something.
Mhm.
Have you watched that
No.
episode? You need to watch it. It's just
Okay.
very interesting. Yeah, you guys, whoever is listening to us right now, if you have been with us so far, yeah, you should listen to this podcast in Joe Rogan podcast. Yeah. Well, okay, let me give you this not revelation, but this kind of conclusion I concluded by watching an anime about religion. So the name of the anime is Attack on Titan. So I was recently watching it, and there are groups of people inside. So basically, in that one anime, there are a group of people who live inside a walled country. So there are different walls, and there are people who are living inside them. The walls are created so that they can be protected from titans. Titans are like these big, huge beings which are like more than 3 meters until like 40 meters or something, and they look like humans because they have a skin and human body type, but they don't have reproductive organs, they don't have consciousness, they can't speak, they can't talk. So basically it's like a dead human body that is just walking or something, but they eat human.
Mm.
They eat human not because they like them, they eat human, they can't even digest the human, they just eat them to kill them. So these walls are created in order to protect people inside, like in order to live inside the walls so that you are safe from those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in that inside the wall, there is a group of people who believe those walls are sacred. They believe that those walls are created by God.
Mm.
The name of the
Because
walls,
the walls are so old.
they are very old,
Oh,
and they are mystic. Like no one knows who created it.
I see.
And so the name of the walls are Wall Rose, Wall Sina, Wall Maria. And whenever, like, they don't like anyone, like, impure, making the walls impure, like, human beings climbing on it
I
or something like that. The religion doesn't want that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how that becomes like a thing. It becomes a
Mm.
religion.
Yeah.
And when you look at the religion that we have,
Mm.
you can see the historical events that happen that
Mm.
lead to people believing in that one message.
Yeah.
You can see historically, people were one tribe of people was going on war with another tribe,
Mm.
and it was very difficult to live like that. And when someone comes who says, "Oh, we all tribe, we should be one, we should be together, we should be one tribe, we should not kill each other, we should love each other, we should have these kind of beliefs." They might not even have said we should have these kind of beliefs. I think they just said we should unite, we should not steal, we should not harm each other, and all those kind of things. When someone comes and says that, it's a miraculous thing that in that kind of scenario, someone like that was able to be born, and someone was able to have that thinking. But
Yeah.
you don't have to necessarily say they were God. You don't have to say that it came from higher up. It came from human beings. Human beings,
Yeah.
we are capable of amazing things that we don't even know.
Mm.
And one of the thing is being intellect. One of
Yeah.
the thing is being able to see outside the box.
Yeah. But what would you call that person in that phenomena, in that situation? Are they enlightened, maybe?
I would call them philosophers.
Philosophers. I'd call
Yeah,
them,
okay,
I'd call them enlightened. Yeah.
Or enlightened philosophers. Who enlightened them though? That's the question when you call them enlightened. Who put the light in them?
That is difficult. It's well, I think if you were to take a biological approach to this, or like a scientific approach to this, you would say it's just the natural byproduct of a vast gene pool. So you're going to find people in a large group who some are very short, some are very tall, some have curly hair, some have straight hair. Some are geniuses, Some are super kind, and some are psychopathic villains. So I guess that's some sort of logic you could bring to why people are enlightened, why people are called prophets, because maybe they're just more agreeable, maybe they believe in the truth or something like that.
So can a psychopath be enlightened as well? Could be.
People can change.
If you go with that belief.
Some people
Well-
can, but I don't know if psychopaths can change, because I think their brain's linked in a certain way that doesn't allow them to change.
Well, I think there are certain events in certain scriptures that happen where children's, women's, and the whole place was killed because one person believed in certain way, and that person happens to be one of the prophets in one of the religion. Well, I mean that the act of killing the kids and saying that they deserved it is a psychopathic, isn't it?
This
And
is a bad time to bring up my my quote, but it's relevant to prophets.
Yeah.
But this is more of the good side of prophets as opposed to the bad
To be
side
honest,
of
like
of
if you
prophets.
guys feel we are, it is confusing because we are confused. The whole thing is we are young people trying to figure out how to live our life in this world, and it's very difficult to be religious or not be religious. Because people are religious because they are afraid, they are scared. They are scared that by not being religious, they might get sin. They might have to go to hell, which we don't even know if it exists or not. And so that's why people are sticking with it. And some people are like, you know what? I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel in my family. I'm not going to believe in whatever my family says, whatever my community is saying. I'm going to believe in something objective that I can see. And they do that, and well, at the end, they end up believing something that is not objective, that is their own opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the new reality in this world.
Yeah.
But yeah, please.
I have my moment, my speech. So, my impression is that what are considered morals, which means the message of a story. I think it's an Irish word actually. They would say the moral of the story. So the message of a story. The words we use, morals, as non-religious people, is arguably a group of relativists, of maybe possibly nihilists, people who aren't tied to a certain set of values. And I think the issue with this is that we no longer have prophets, but we have people who are called scholars. And I think we're missing out on this world, because the prophets, although there were some who were very dangerous, there were many people who had a great ability to move people, a great ability to enlighten people in a sense, give them a belief system and give them wisdom. And I don't think it's something that happens with scholars. I think scholars are often, well, maybe I'm a bit pessimistic, but they come across as prideful and not necessarily tied to some sense of oneness that I think religious people are tied to. And as a historian, because I studied history, you can write whatever is popular and whatever goes with the social political agenda. So you say, oh, our country fought this war because we are good at this. Similarly, you can say our country is not good because we've done bad things in the past. But all of these are still done without a sense of heart. That's what I think. All of these are done for the sake of knowledge. And I think living in a world for the sake of knowledge is not one that brings people harmony, and it's not one that heals the soul. That's what I want to say.
Okay.
And I also just wanted to add, people in the West, especially England, they should take time to consider why people are certain religions, why they follow that religion, and don't be afraid of being called, phobic of something, because the truth is you're not going to learn anything if you keep yourself distanced from that person. You should try your best to understand them.
Let me ask you this. So what's
Go on.
your remedy? So for those who are following the, where people are being entrapped by the scholars, what's the remedy? What can people do to not be trapped by them?
I think we need to take emotions seriously, and also incorporate them as a relevant factor to why things happen, especially in history. But people don't want to talk about emotions because they see them as something dubious, something that has little relevance. If it happened inside someone's mind, why does it matter? I believe Nietzsche was one of the first historians, I believe he was a historian for a while, to actually ask, why don't we look at the psychological nature of people in history?
Yep.
And I think, religion has great significance.
So you think religion is important?
Yes. I'm going to say yes.
Why? Well, I'm not asking, being cynical and asking why. Like, I'm not trying to inquire you, but I want to know why. Why do you think?
I think it's
religion
the
is important?
underpinning of faith. It's the oneness of faith, the unity of faith. Because you can define God as, everyone knows what God is when they think of God, but nobody knows what humanity is when they think of humanity. Humanity is seen as something that can go wrong, can go right, but God is never seen as something that can go wrong. And I think, what's the problem with aiming for that thing?
So you like the idea of God?
I like the idea of aiming for something greater than humans.
Okay. So you
Because
like the idea
humans
of
are
aiming for
corruptible.
Ubermans?
Because humans are corruptible.
Yes.
So we can't rely on humans. So what are we relying on? What are we putting under our morals, under our values? Because you can say it's humans, but at the same time, we're only going to follow certain aspects of humans. We're not going to follow when humans kill someone or when they steal something, but we're going to follow humans when they do this thing. So they're not reliable. You can't rely on humans because they're going to do good things and they're going to do bad things. So what are you going to rely on to have your value system so that you can have a harmonious society? Maybe it's God.
So why do you think it's important for human beings to aspire for something that is higher than humans? Because, well, a group of people who tried that in Germany in 1940s, and
Right.
we know what happened after that.
Right. This is the thing, is that these so-called leaders, well, they are leaders. They're very powerful people. They can be religious or non-religious. So in the end, it doesn't really matter if religion exists or not, but typically their value is of something that's great and something that's good.
I said, I agree with the values. I agree with the philosophy behind a religion, but I don't agree with people who cling to it and who say, okay, yours is wrong, mine is right. It can't be true. That's the whole problem that I have. That I have and had with it. And like some people say religion makes us moral. I mean, and it is expected that human beings without religions are immoral. It's not true. People, like you said before, people with religion have done horrendous things, and without religion as well. So you can't isolate either or.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I wanted to discuss about in this podcast is like the religion, the intermingling of religion and the state. So like you said, in the UK, some of the laws come from 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
But now, the church doesn't have as much power in the government as it used to back in the days.
Right.
But when it did have, there were so many things that were going wrong. Like, you can see the live example of that in India. You can see how one religious group is being alienated just because the leader is trying to alienate that group so that he can get a vote from the other group.
Right.
So like the 15% of Muslims and 85% of the Hindus.
Yeah.
And he goes to the media and he's openly saying that you can recognize them by the clothes they wear. You can recognize the people who don't vote me by the clothes they wear. You can recognize them by the things they eat. It's like, okay, we should ban meat in this month because Hindus don't eat it. And only people from other religion, they eat it. So we should ban it, ban the meat.
And
so these kind of things.
State from
yes,
church?
the state and
you think we need to separate state from church?
State is a democratic. Well, I mean, in democracy, state is supposed to be the representation of all the people.
But it's not possible, right? Because
Well,
humans come from a belief system.
But you don't have to be dogmatic about one belief system and run your country according to that, even though there are so many other belief systems in the world.
No, don't do that, but they should incorporate all the belief systems to make one law.
Are you saying you're kind of scared that if you don't incorporate religion, people are going to live in communism? Is that why you're scared?
No, people make religions and they make states. The states come from the religions. That's what I think, because we have the commandments.
State comes because of the border, but yeah, I mean, I get where you come from.
That's why the commandments are part of the law. Because that's what people believed before law existed.
I think commandments are part of law because it was people who were religious who made the law.
Yeah, but they believed in this big piece of stone that had some rules written on it.
Yeah.
And all they did was they wrote it up in a different format and they gave it a different logo.
Yeah, but now the things are changing. Now there are different laws which are not based on religion as well. So we can establish a country where the laws are not based from the religion.
Build onto it. That's what I say.
No, yeah, definitely. I agree with that. I agree with that. But yeah, but the state and the religion should be different because when you are...
I don't think it's that easy.
It might not be easy, but it should be different, though.
I don't think it's even exists in here. Not even in America. I don't think.
But it's not as influenced as in other countries. It's not as influenced as it was back in the days. Like go back into 1700s, 1600s. See how the church was literally running like giving loan to the government, saying, yeah, invade this country, don't invade that one, because they and I believe in the same thing, but they don't.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're going to this place where no other person has ever been to, and we're going to shove this religion down their throat. We're going to say, so if you believe in this God, we'll not kill you.
So there's big things that we can change, but maybe on the minute level we can't change it.
Yeah, I mean, so because we are human beings, we'll have biases, we'll have beliefs, and people who are elected will also have biases and beliefs. And if you're saying, okay, that can't be eliminated, I agree with that.
Okay.
But when you say like the whole religion thing,
when you're talking about big things like, let's say, the Spanish Empire,
like Vatican City and Catholics, Catholic,
these things where power is really coming from both church and state. I get what you're saying. That's corrupt. That's very corrupt. Because you're playing on people's emotions and you're telling them, if you don't believe this, then the state can no longer support you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's what I'm against. Like, there will, like group of people who live inside a reason, which is like, lined in a paper, like back in the days. And now people are not allowed to go out of that line. They need to apply for a visa that another human beings need to approve. Just imagine there is a human being that will have to stamp down on a piece of paper just to make you be able to cross that line and go to the other place. That human being is not greater than you though, but they have the power to completely put you inside like literally a prison. If your passport is not strong enough, and even if you have a strong passport, someone needs to stamp on it.
That's quite funny, really, because it's all the things that are outside of the room that are happening. The thing inside the room is just a piece of paper and pushed on there.
Yes.
So like you won't see any animals doing this.
No, like even like I used to make this joke, like a dog in between border in Nepal and India can go to India and bite a piece of meat and come back. But like if a person has to go, they have to go through so many checkpoints and something like that. Well, I mean, to go to India we don't need passport, but we do go through checkpoints and all that.
That's crazy. And
a bird can fly over the border, a bird can fly over the fence. But like human beings, they can't fly over the fence.
It's because they're attached to ideas, right? Us humans, we're attached to
I think we are too scared. I think we're too scared of a group of people that comes from another place. Like a group of people.
But are we also proud of the people that come from our place as well? Like equally scared of them as we are proud of ourselves. So there's no reason to connect,
Yeah, so like, well, I mean, that group of people might not like the group of people from this side as well. But, well, I mean, we're being better. The countries are being more diverse. People are intermarrying with different people from different countries, different races and all that. It's all good, because if we're out in the wild, in the nature, yes, we would be doing that for a long, long time. But now we're starting, which is good. Now, boiling down the whole religious thing to young people like you and me, 20-something-year-olds. Do you know what percentage of young Brits are religious?
I read your sheet earlier. Is it? I can't remember.
70% of young Brits say they are not religious.
Can I tell you something interesting about this? I know it was 70%, but around the time I was born, people were automatically put as Protestant, so it would have been 70% Protestant. But that was like a glitch in the system. So Protestant was like the de facto state. Yeah. Whereas now it's not the de facto state anymore. So there's no wonder people aren't, attached to religion. Well,
I was doing the research about it, and I found that 91% of young people in Czech Republic say they don't have any religious faith at all.
That's interesting.
91%.
Czech Republic, if you look at where it's situated on a map, it's like the centre of Europe. It's very middle.
It's the melting pot of all Europe.
I don't know if it's the melting pot, but it's probably the most, you could argue, it's the most European place in Europe. And then 91% not religious.
Yeah. That's a very huge number. I saw the similar study done on, now people might say, oh, why are you there? That's not the world. There is Africa and Asia in the world. I'm coming towards it. So basically in the Western countries, or like the supposedly Western countries, there is no such thing as Western Hemisphere. It is man-made, like religion, I would say. Sorry if I'm hurting anyone's sentiments. Basically, the North America, Latin America, Europe, Australia, Japan, and those countries, the younger people are less religious than their older counterparts. Like, basically people are less religious than their grandparents or their parents or something like that. When you go to Africa and Asia, you don't see that much of a difference. But I think the reason lies within how the census is taken. Because when a census is taken, especially in my country, the older person in the family answers all the questions. So even if I'm 18-year-old and someone comes to take census in our home, and if there is someone older than me who is in the family, they will go and say, how many people do you have in a family? 5. Okay, and what religion do you believe to? Even if they know I'm atheist, they will say Hindu.
Yeah.
Or any other religion that they believe. And all of them are Hindu now. So that's why I think
it's data collection bias.
It
It's
is a
like
data
sometimes you
collection
see
bias.
these maps of like most loving communities, and then you see a country which has really high nationalism as most loving, and you're thinking, wait, they're not the most loving, they just love themselves, you know?
Well, they are the community
Yeah,
that loves themselves.
yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I think there is a bit of flaw in that. But one of the most interesting thing that I found there was like in African countries like Ghana and Chad, the younger people are more religious than their older
That's
counterparts.
fascinating, yeah.
I wonder how. I wonder how
They're in
why.
a big state of change, though. You know, all the
Yeah.
infrastructure's being built in Africa. Their
Or could it be-
populations are growing rapidly.
Could it be the missionaries going from Europe?
Mm.
I know I'm being a bit cynical here,
That
but
started a long time ago, but also, well, not to mention, Christianity was in Africa at the same time
Before-
as, well, yeah, before,
before Europe, I would say.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so to conclude,
Yes.
religion is a personal belief. If you believe in it, okay, go on with it, but don't try to shove it down another person's throat.
Yeah,
If you
don't do
believe
that.
in God, I mean, you can believe in any
Stop
numbers
it.
of God.
Stop putting it down people's throat, all right? It's not very nice.
So
Let's
if
drive
you,
that home.
yeah, if you believe in God, it's a personal choice to believe in God.
Mm.
I know it's difficult to believe and not believe in God, especially for young people. But what I would recommend is go out there, try to learn about different religion, because you never know what you're gonna find. Like some people find different things that you could do to make your life better from religion, and some people find, oh yeah, they have lived in this very close knit group of people, and you need to be outside of that. You need to open your eyes. You need to open your horizon. Broaden your horizon because of that. Yeah, and go and talk with a monk if you can. Go and talk with a priest in the church you can, without laughing at them, because it's difficult for them to believe in God as well at this day and age, because they can't just say, oh yeah, it's because of God, because there is science which proves them otherwise. So it is difficult for both group, and no one has to protect their God. If God exists, the God must be very, very powerful being, an all-knowing being. I think the God is both powerful and all-knowing. I think omnipotent and all-knowing. I believe in that. Well, I mean, if God exists, then that must be truth, is what I believe.
Okay.
And if there is that kind of being or that kind of phenomena out there, that God doesn't need our protecting. So we don't need to fight with each other. We need to come together with it. We need to compare the books and say, oh yeah, I have this thing
Yeah.
in my book you don't have. Okay, let's put it together.
Yeah, trust that God can protect himself and,
Yes.
and move on.
Let's compare Bible with Quran and see
Yeah.
what good things are in Quran and what good things are in
I think
Bible.
we
Or
need
come up with something new.
definitely, we need Muslims to talk to Christians, and we need Christians to talk to Muslims.
And
because-
every other
because
religion
both,
as well.
sorry to pick on these two communities, but both of these religions they have, I think the word's evangelicists.
Mm.
So both of these religions have a sense of spreading what they learn. So if you can you're already one step there, because you're willing to share the information, but you also need to listen to the
Yep.
information that other people want to share too.
And for those people who don't know about the extremist in Christianity or Judaism, go and try to search up the story of red heifers. That is as much as I would say. I don't have enough time to expand on red heifers. We'll talk about this after the podcast. Go and look into it. And see there are extremists in every group. So don't hate a religion just because there are extremists in one religion. And just because you don't know about
Yes.
extremists in other religion. Every religion has extremists. Every religion has people who are very open-minded, very close-minded. So if you have to believe in religion, or if you feel like you want to be included in a group of people, then go and try to find them. But don't argue with them. Don't fight with them. We can talk about God exists or not, because we have, as human beings, we have the capacity to question if the validity of existence
Yeah.
of God. But it doesn't mean that you need to hate on other people just because they don't
I think
believe
you
in
can fight with your ideas with words,
it. Yes.
but beyond words, don't take it to violence, And this is not just for religion. This should be for all humans, right?
Exactly. So now we are at the part where we read our 0 hour thoughts. So basically, for someone for you guys who don't know and who are new to our channel, so 0 hour thoughts is basically the thoughts that came up to us when we were not thinking. So it's something that just came up to us, and we thought of writing it down. And
Random nighttime
spontaneous right time.
ones that we feel comfortable to share.
Definitely.
We're not
So-
going to tell you about that one. You know what I mean? I'm joking. Sorry.
So are you gonna go on with your first one?
Yeah. So I didn't really think of it through completely, but I had this thought last night, and I remembered the key word, which was lava lamp. So a lava lamp is it's a lamp, and it's filled with oil and wax, and you press a button, and I believe it heats it up in the middle. And you've probably seen it in movies if you haven't owned one, but they just like gently flow around this like glass container. And the reason that came to mind was because they're in this. Probably because I'm crazy, but I was thinking they're in this perpetual state of change, and as humans we're always told we need to change, and people desire this thing to be changed, but the truth is that we can be changed, but once we're changed we're no longer going through any sort of process, and a lava lamp that's constantly moving is in a process, and that's the point where you can consider it the most beautiful, because once it's stopped, it's no longer interesting to look at. So keep changing.
Amazing.
you.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm mind blown.
Thank you.
Okay, so talking about my 0 hour thoughts, I wrote 2 kind of poems or kind of things that I wrote. The first one, the title is "Isn't It Scary?" Isn't it scary that sometimes you write letters from your heart but can't whisper the words into the ears? Isn't it scary that sometimes you confuse love with attraction and attraction with love, and you live your entire life without knowing the real truth? Isn't it scary that the version of your life is the only version you will ever experience? Isn't it scary that everything that you might know will be false, and everyone a flawed soul wearing a mask beneath which you will never see? Isn't it scary that the world that you hold so dear to you might simply let you by the side of a road during cold winters without even asking you, how are you? Isn't it scary? Another one is, the title is, You Should Have Different Faces. It is a waste of life if you live only one life. We have this greatest tendency to live multiple lives. As an amazing friend, as a husband or a wife, as a lover, as a father or a mother, as a gym goer, as an adventurer, as a poet, as a writer, as a devotee, as a philosopher, as this and that and that and that. There are many chapters we can open. There are many stories we can live. But in this world of absolutes and single personas, we are forced to die without even living one life. It is a waste if you can't identify yourself in more than a couple of ways. So you should live with different faces.
Thank you, Guru Bandari. That was this guy. He's a poet.
Yeah, we admire each other's writing, is what I would say. Thank you for being with us so far. We really appreciate your support. We are getting there. We'll be better. And we will again come back to this topic one day. And hopefully we'll discuss it with more conviction.
Yes.
And maybe we'll have found more truth.
Yeah, and open up some discussions as well. We'd appreciate if you can talk to us about something that we've not thought of, and we can incorporate it in a new video.
Please write them down in the comment. Please write down in the comment what you would like to hear us speaking. We're going to do a couple of episodes on the election that is happening around the world and also in UK.
July 4th,
yeah.
American Independence Day, actually, funnily enough.
So, we'll be doing episodes on those topics, and we will talk those topics through the point of view of young people, because this podcast is for, it's not for only young people, it's for everybody, but it's made by young people, and we want to explore how to live this world. This world is difficult. And please like and subscribe to our channel.
Yes, please.
Would you like to say anything at the end?
I'll say look out for merchandise one day.
Yes.
Maybe sooner than we realise. We'd like to get some mugs, actually.
With the coffee mugs,
that would be great. Anyway.
It would be really nice to drink coffee at this time as well.
Mugs with the logo on them.
All right. Okay, with this we conclude our today's podcast. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.